Okay, so is it safe to assume Eam has some kind of godlike power? Because that's the only explanation I took away from what happened to Lelouchia after reading this chapter. I mean, I'm sure it will be revealed to us that it's linked to some kind of devil fruit power, maybe, probably, or probably tied into the same genus as Luffy's for being this ancient power tied to the history of the world, or my personal theory of the case, which is that with everything that was revealed to us on Wano, I have to believe that the Gum Gum fruit, and specifically the power of Nika, was maybe once a power that belonged to Eam, and now that Luffy possesses it, that power is sets him up as the only one who can truly stop him. But again, that all in itself still just labors the question of what kind of power Eam possesses in the present. Because yeah, Lucia was basically wiped off the face of the earth through what could only be described as God beams. Like, really, that's the only way to describe it. It was fucking God beams that destroyed the island, and I suppose supposedly taking Sabo along with it, which, yeah, that's the part of this that's a little hard to swallow, just because after whatever important information you learned, I doubt Oda would just nix him like that. But, like, it's also, like, just got me asking the question of what is so special about Eam's eyes. Because that seems to be the focal point Oda wants us to latch onto, that there's something about Eam's eyes that possibly gives him this power. Like, again, I hate to make the comparison to Naruto, but it does feel like some kind of Kike Genkai kind of shit, or some like eye power. I don't know, like whatever Ian is, he's been gifted with some kind of power that allows him to do the shit that he does. Like that's the like I don't know what that power is, but again, I have to assume it's somehow connected to whatever is going on, whatever is special about that man's eyes, because obviously just from the moment we saw them, they definitely weren't normal from your average eyes. Something about them was different. I don't know what that is, but it's whatever his power is, it is dangerous. But with I guess getting back into something more lighthearted, I love how at the beginning of this chapter we have Luffy throwing a damn temper tantrum defending Sabo's innocence about what happened at the reverie. And it's funny, but it does show how much that Luffy does know Sabo. He does know what Sabo would and wouldn't do. But even more than that, I also like how Zoro did point out how Luffy's reacting to Sabo versus how he reacted to the news of Ace's capture. Because ultimately Luffy did go after Ace after learning the full truth. It was just that. Luffy acted only after he learned what was really going on. And for cruel as it is, Luffy does need to be patient and do the same here, because going in blind will just get him and his crewmates killed. But at least he has his crewmates to rely on this time, unlike Marineford, where he had to ground up a ragtag group of people, and which were powerful people, but they weren't like necessarily people you could necessarily fully trust either. And I like how Luffy does kind of take that into perspective as well. That yeah, he does need to be, for as much as it may hurt him, it does need to be patient with it all. I also loved how the chapter really leaned into the reality of how much has happened while the Straw Hats were on Wano. I mean, we've seen all that happened in the interim moments between what happened on Wano, between what was happening during Wano, but seeing all this unfold at once from the Straw Hats' perspective really shows how much being on Wano was like being stuck in a void of time, where the passage of events outside just stands still, despite everything inside the country going at the usual pace of how we normally expect an arc in One Piece to play out. Like it is something that I didn't give Oda enough credit for, but just the way he captured that isolationist feeling of being on Wano really, I think, hammered home just how different being on Wano was from being on any other island. And this is the chapter that does bring that to the forefront, and I just really like it for that. With that said, Luffy tells his crew, off screen mind you, of the oath he swore to Ace and Sabo. Just from how the rest of the crew reacts, I think it's going to be I think one thing I can glean from that is he is going to do the opposite of what Roger and his crew did, which is rather than keep the One Piece, the Void Century, all of that a secret and say, if you want to find it, go search for yourself. I think Luffy's gonna do the exact opposite of that and just lay it all out to the world. Like, he's going to tell the entire world what the One Piece is, what the Void Century is. Probably Robin's going to do that more than him, but yeah, I think he's just going to lay all the dirty laundry out on the table and reveal the truth of what the One Piece is, much in the same way Robin plans to do with this Void Century. But now where things I do need more information is where things are going to get interesting is how he's going to do that. Now, now the question is, somehow in doing that, his real goal will be revealed, which I have to think that his real goal of like becoming Pirate King is to kind of break down the barriers of the world as they exist, like between government, royalty, commoners, celestial dragons, slaves, all of that. Like, I think he plans to like break all that shit down the moment he becomes Pirate King, which, yeah, it's definitely a tall order, because like Pirate King isn't exactly like being like an actual king, but at the same time, it does make sense that would be his dream, considering the events of Great Terminal even now seem to be a biggest overall sticking point in Luffy's past. And if that is the case, though, the precise details of how Luffy plans to go about changing that and how that aligns with becoming Pirate King is the question I don't really have a full answer for. But I have to assume all this is going to be answered when the One Piece is finally revealed and the One Piece is finally revealed, like what the One Piece is. With all that being said, obviously one of the big questions that pops up in this chapter, as asked by Robin, is where the final road poneglyph is. And I'm more convinced now than ever before that Shanks does in fact have the final road poneglyph in his possession, but has hidden it away on some island only he knows the location of, which honestly does make me a little bit curious to check out Film Red, just for the sake of asking how much that film could potentially, albeit very loosely, tie into events going on right now, and maybe give us insight as to where not only the final road poneglyph might be, but where, if Shanks does have it, where he might have hidden it as well. Because it honestly also just does make the most logical sense at this point that he would have it, for no other reason than to keep it out of Blackbeard and even the government's reach. And after what happened after this chapter, I can't say Shanks hiding it away is unjustified if he is the one who has it. And obviously we do need to talk about the fact that at the end of the chapter, Jewelry Bonnie ends up hurtling towards the Straw Hats, which the fact that she going back to her the time she spent infiltrating Marie Joie, it's got me thinking that she learned basically the same truth that Sabo did. So it does feel like she's ultimately gonna be the surrogate that kind of ties everything together and almost kind of forces Luffy into that position to take a more proactive role in what's going on right now. Like, I get the feeling like whatever mission involves going to be saving Ace and the identity of like saving Ace, that there is going to be one, and the identity of Eam, it's all going to be tied together. It's all going to be brought together very soon here. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime signing off. Later, everyone.